Lila woke to the sting of her own skin, a sharp ache across her abdomen that hadn't been there when she went to sleep. She lay still in her Seattle apartment, the pre-dawn light filtering through blinds, casting slatted shadows on her ceiling. Her breath caught as she lifted her pajama top, fingers trembling toward the source of the pain. There, etched below her navel, was a scar. Jagged, fresh, the edges pink and raw, as if carved hours ago. She pressed a fingertip to it, wincing, her mind racing. She hadn't been injured, hadn't had surgery, hadn't even left her bed. Yet the scar was real, undeniable. A violation written on her body. At 31, Lila was no stranger to strangeness. She'd grown up with gaps in her memory, moments lost to what her therapist called dissociative episodes, remnants of a childhood shadowed by absence. Her twin sister, Nora, had vanished when they were 9, taken from their backyard in Tacoma during a summer dusk. No ransom, no trace, just Nora's yellow sandal left by the fence. Lila's memories of her were fragments. Nora's laugh, sharp and bright. Her hands braiding Lila's hair. The way she'd whisper secrets in the dark. After Nora's disappearance, their parents unraveled, their mother drinking herself silent, their father leaving for good. Lila survived by locking Nora away, a ghost she couldn't afford to mourn. But this scar, it felt like Nora's ghost clawing back. Lila stumbled to the bathroom, the mirror reflecting her pale face, her dark eyes wide with panic. She studied the scar. 6 inches long, irregular, like a botched incision. It wasn't surgical, not clean enough, but it wasn't random either. Her fingers traced it, her pulse hammering. She hadn't blacked out, hadn't drunk or taken anything. Her apartment was locked, the chain still in place. No blood on her sheets, no sign of intrusion. Just the scar, screaming its presence. She called in sick to her job at the bookstore, her voice shaking as she lied about a stomach bug. Then she sat at her kitchen table, a mug of cold coffee in her hands, trying to piece it together. Her phone buzzed, a text from her friend Sam, asking about drinks later. Lila ignored it, her eyes fixed on the scar, now hidden under her sweatshirt. She needed answers, but where to start? A hospital? The police? They'd think she was crazy, a woman claiming a scar appeared overnight. Her gaze drifted to a shoebox on her bookshelf, tucked between novels and a dying fern. It held the remnants of her childhood, photos, a lock of Nora's hair, their mother's obituary. She hadn't opened it in years, the weight of memory too heavy. But something pulled her now, a thread she couldn't ignore. She dragged the box down, dust rising as she lifted the lid. Inside, among Polaroids and faded letters, was a folded paper she didn't recognize. A medical record, yellowed, dated a month before Nora vanished. Lila's breath caught. The record wasn't hers. It was Nora's, from a clinic she didn't remember, listing a procedure, exploratory laparoscopy, lower abdomen. A scar was noted, expected post-op, approximately 6 cm per. Lila's hand flew to her own scar, her skin prickling. The description matched. Same length, same place. But Nora had been 9, a child. What surgery? Their parents had never mentioned it, and Lila had no memory of Nora being sick. The record listed a Dr. Helen Voss, no address, just a phone number with a Tacoma area code. Lila's mind spun. She'd been 9 too, Nora's mirror, their faces identical, their lives entwined. Had she forgotten something so big? Or had it been hidden? She grabbed her phone, dialing the number. It rang, then cut to a disconnected tone. She tried again, same result. Her fingers hovered over the clinic's name, Cascade Health, but a quick search showed it had closed decades ago, its building now a strip mall. The scar throbbed as if responding to the record. Lila paced, the apartment too small, the walls too close. She needed to know more about Nora's procedure, about Dr. Voss, about why this scar had appeared now, 22 years later. Her therapist had once suggested Nora's absence was a psychic wound, manifesting in Lila's dissociation. But this was physical, tangible, a wound she could touch. Was it Nora reaching out? Or something darker? Something that had taken her sister and now wanted Lila. She drove to Tacoma, the hour-long trip a blur of rain and headlights. The strip mall where Cascade Health had been was grim, its parking lot cracked, its signs flickering. Lila parked, her hands gripping the wheel. The medical record was in her bag, Nora's name in faded ink. She stepped out, the air cold, the scar aching under her coat. A nail salon occupied the clinic's old space, its windows bright with neon. Inside, a woman painting nails glanced up, her smile fading at Lila's expression. "Do you know anything about the clinic that used to be here?" Lila asked, her voice tight. "Cascade Health, 20 years ago." The woman shook her head. "Before my time. Maybe ask at the library. They've got old records." Lila nodded, her hope thin. The library was her next stop, a squat building smelling of mildew and coffee. She requested archives on Cascade Health, her fingers tapping nervously as the librarian pulled microfiche. The clinic had been small, specializing in pediatric care, but it shut down after a lawsuit. Something about unethical trials. No details, just a mention of Dr. Helen Voss as a lead physician. Lila's stomach twisted. Unethical trials? On children? On Nora? She found a phone book from 2003, scanning for Voss. An address in Olympia, 40 miles south. It was a lead, fragile but real. She copied it, her hands shaking. The scar burned now, a pulse that matched her heartbeat. She drove back to Seattle, the medical record on the passenger seat, Nora's name a whisper in her mind. That night, Lila dreamed of Nora. They were 9, standing in a white room, a scalpel gleaming between them. Nora's abdomen was scarred, identical to Lila's. "They took something," Nora said, her voice hollow. "Find it." Lila woke, gasping, her hand on the scar. The shoebox was open, though she hadn't touched it. A photo lay on top, her and Nora laughing, but Nora's eyes were wrong, too dark, too still. Lila clutched the medical record, her resolve hardening. She'd find Dr. Voss, uncover what had been done to Nora, and why her sister's scar now marked her own skin. The truth was out there, buried in the past, and Lila would dig it up, even if it broke her. Lila's car cut through the rain toward Olympia, the medical record of her twin sister Nora tucked into her bag, its faded ink a map to a past she couldn't remember. The scar on her abdomen pulsed, not with pain now, but with a strange warmth, as if it were alive, responding to her decision to chase Dr. Helen Voss. The address from the old phone book was a long shot. 22 years had passed since Nora's disappearance, since the mysterious procedure noted in the record. But it was all Lila had. The alternative was staying still, letting the scar and the questions consume her. Olympia was quiet, its streets lined with modest houses and evergreens bowed under the drizzle. The address led to a small bungalow, its paint peeling, its yard overgrown with ferns. No name on the mailbox, no car in the driveway. Lila knocked, her heart thudding, the scar tingling. No answer. She tried the doorbell, then peered through a window, seeing only a dark living room, furniture draped in sheets. Abandoned, or so it seemed. She circled to the back, her sneakers sinking into mud, and found a basement window cracked open. Her pulse quickened. She shouldn't, but she did. Prying it wider, she slid inside. The basement smelled of damp concrete and something metallic, like old blood. Her flashlight's beam caught shelves lined with boxes, labeled in precise handwriting, Cascade Health, 2000-2003. Lila's breath hitched. This was no coincidence. She tore into a box, finding files, patient records, consent forms, trial protocols. Her fingers shook as she scanned for Nora's name. Nothing, until she found a folder marked Project Twin. Inside was a photo. 2 girls, identical, 9 years old. Lila and Nora, smiling, unaware. A note was clipped to it. Subjects L and N viable for phase 2. Layla's knees buckled. Subjects viable? The scar burned. A warning or a call? She dug deeper, finding a report signed by Dr. Helen Voss. It described genetic resonance trials, testing somatic memory transfer between twins. Words like cellular imprint and psychic linkage swam before her eyes. The trials were shut down after adverse outcomes, the report vague on details. Lila's stomach churned. Had Nora been part of this? Had she? A creak overhead snapped her back. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Lila shoved the report into her bag, her flashlight off, and crouched behind a shelf. The steps descended, a shadow stretching across the basement floor. A woman's voice, low and sharp. You shouldn't be here. Lila's heart stopped. The voice was unfamiliar, but it carried a weight, like it knew her. The shadow moved closer, and Lila bolted, scrambling through the window, scraping her hands on the frame. She ran to her car, the woman's voice echoing, "You can't run from it." Back in Seattle, Lila locked her apartment door, the chain rattling. She spread the report on her kitchen table, the photo of her and Nora staring up. The scar ached, a mirror to the one in Nora's record. Genetic resonance. Psychic linkage. The words felt like keys to a door she didn't want to open. She remembered Nora's whispers in the dark, their shared dreams, the way they'd finish each other's sentences. Had the trial done something to them, connected them beyond biology? Was the scar Nora's, somehow etched onto Lila's body? She searched online for Project Twin, finding nothing but conspiracy forums mentioning Cascade Health. One post, buried in a thread, caught her eye. Voss ran experiments on kids, twins mostly, something about memory transfer. Clinic got shut down, but she's still out there. No proof, just a username, Seeker77, and a Tacoma email. Lila sent a message, her fingers trembling. I found a scar. I think it's tied to Project Twin. Please help. The reply came at midnight. Meet me at the old clinic site. Tomorrow dusk. Bring the record. Lila's skin prickled. A trap. Or a lead. She didn't sleep, the scar throbbing, her dreams filled with Nora's face, her voice saying, "Find it." By morning, she decided. She'd go, but she'd be careful. At the strip mall, the nail salon's neon buzzed. Lila waited in her car, the report in her bag, her eyes scanning the lot. A man approached, older, with gray hair and nervous hands. "You're Lila," he said, not a question. "I'm Seeker77. Call me Paul." Paul's eyes darted as if expecting shadows. Voss was my colleague. The trials, she thought twins could share more than DNA, that their cells could carry memories, even after separation. Nora was her last subject before the shutdown. Lila's throat tightened. What happened to her? Paul's face darkened. "I don't know. But the scar, you're connected to her still." Voss believed the link never breaks. He gave her an address, another lead, a storage unit in Tacoma where Voss kept records. "Be careful," he said. "She's not alone." Lila drove away, the scar burning, Nora's voice in her head. The truth was close, but so was the danger. The storage unit was on the edge of Tacoma, a gray maze of metal doors under flickering sodium lights. Lila arrived at night, the address Paul gave her scrawled on a napkin. The scar on her abdomen felt alive, pulsing with each step, as if Nora were guiding her or warning her. The report from Voss's basement was in her bag, its words, genetic resonance, psychic linkage, looping in her mind. She didn't understand the science, but the scar was proof. Something had been done to Nora, and now it was reaching for Lila. Unit 17 was locked, a rusty padlock guarding its secrets. Lila had brought a bolt cutter, bought that morning, her hands shaking as she snapped the lock. The door groaned open, revealing stacks of boxes, a desk and a bulletin board pinned with photos. Her breath caught. One showed Nora, post-procedure, her abdomen bandaged, her eyes hollow. Another showed Lila, asleep in a hospital bed. No scar, but the same room. Lila's knees weakened. Had she been part of the trials too, her memory erased? She rifled through boxes, finding more reports. Project Twin aimed to map consciousness through twins' shared biology, using experimental drugs to amplify cellular memory. Side effects included dissociative states and somatic echoes. Lila's scar burned, an echo of Nora's. A journal, Voss's handwriting, described Nora's procedure. Subjectant shows heightened resonance. Subject L unaware, ideal control. Lila's blood ran cold. She'd been a control, part of the experiment without knowing. A noise outside, a scrape, like metal on concrete, made her freeze. She turned off her flashlight, crouching behind the desk. Footsteps circled the unit, slow, deliberate. The woman's voice from the basement hissed through the door. "You're digging too deep, Lila." Lila's heart pounded. She clutched the journal, her only proof, and waited, barely breathing. The footsteps faded, but the scar throbbed, a beacon she couldn't hide. She escaped with the journal and a photo of Nora, driving to a motel to avoid her apartment. The scar was changing, its edges sharper, a faint pattern emerging, like a spiral, barely visible. She traced it, her fingers trembling. The journal mentioned a resonance trigger, a drug that could reactivate the link between twins. Had something triggered her scar? Was Nora alive, sending this mark through their shared bond? Lila called Paul, her voice low. "I found Voss's journal. It says I was part of the trials. What's happening to me?" Paul's voice was tense. "The scar is a somatic echo. Nora's alive or was recently. The link's active. Voss, she's still running tests off the grid. I've heard she's in Portland now, a private lab." Lila's hope flared, fragile but fierce. "Portland where?" "I don't have an address, but there's a clinic unmarked near the waterfront. Look for a spiral symbol." He paused. "Lila, she knows you're coming. Be careful." Lila drove to Portland, the journal open on the passenger seat. The scar's spiral was clearer now, a faint tattoo under her skin. She dreamed that night, parked at a rest stop. Nora, older, her eyes desperate, carving the spiral into her own skin. "Find me," Nora whispered. Lila woke, her hand on the scar. The journal opened to a new page she hadn't seen. The link can be severed, but only by the source. Portland's waterfront was a maze of warehouses and docks, the air thick with salt and diesel. Lila searched for the spiral symbol, her eyes scanning graffiti and signs. She found it on a rusted door, faint but unmistakable. The scar burned, urging her forward. She knocked, her heart in her throat. No answer, but the door was unlocked. Inside, the air was sterile, the hum of machines echoing. This was it. Voss's lab, Nora's prison, the key to the scar. The Portland lab was a labyrinth of white walls and locked doors, its silence broken only by the hum of unseen machines. Lila moved cautiously, the spiral scar on her abdomen pulsing like a second heartbeat. The journal, tucked into her bag, weighed heavy with Voss's words. The link can be severed, but only by the source. Was Nora the source or Voss? Lila's flashlight swept the hallway, catching glimpses of medical equipment, IV stands, monitors. A gurney pushed against a wall. The air smelled of antiseptic and something sweeter, like decay. She found a door marked Research. It was ajar, light spilling out. Inside, a woman stood over a table, her back to Lila. Silver hair pulled tight, and a lab coat stained with faint red streaks. "Voss, die." Lila's breath caught, the scar burning. "Dr. Voss," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. "Where's Nora?" The woman turned, her face older than Lila expected, her eyes sharp like polished glass. "You're persistent," Voss said, her voice the same as the basement's shadow. "Layla, isn't it? You shouldn't have come." Lila gripped the journal. "You experimented on us, on Nora. What did you do to her?" Voss's smile was thin. You were children, perfect for the trial. Twins share a unique bond, cellular, psychic. Nora was receptive. You were the anchor. Her procedure amplified the link. Yours suppressed it. Lila's stomach twisted. Suppressed? You mean you erased my memories? Protected them, Voss said. You weren't ready. But now, she gestured to Lila's abdomen. The scar. It's Nora reaching out. The link's awake. Lila's hand went to the scar, the spiral now vivid under her shirt. Where is she? Voss stepped closer, her eyes glinting. Close, but you can't have her without paying the price. The link binds you both. Sever it and you lose her forever. Lila's vision blurred, rage and fear mixing. Show me. Voss led her to a locked door, keying in a code. Inside was a small room, a hospital bed, and Nora, older, pale, her eyes closed, an IV in her arm. The same spiral scar marked her abdomen, fresh, bleeding slightly. Lila choked back a sob, rushing to her side. Nora, wake up. Nora's eyes fluttered, unfocused. Lila? Her voice was weak, a ghost of the girl Lila remembered. You shouldn't. They'll take you too. Voss's voice cut through. She's been here since the trial failed. The link kept her alive, tethered to you. But it's unstable. The scar's proof it's breaking you both. Lila's hand tightened on Nora's. Fix it. Let her go. Voss shook her head. The link's too deep. One must stay, one must go. Choose. Lila's mind reeled. Choose? Lose Nora again, or herself. The scar burned, Nora's hand cold in hers. She remembered the journal, only by the source. Voss was the source, the one who'd started this. Lila lunged, grabbing a scalpel from the table, pressing it to Voss's throat. Undo it, now. Voss didn't flinch. Kill me, and the link collapses. You both die. She gestured to a syringe on the table. The trigger. It'll sever the link free, Nora, but you'll carry her scars, her pain. Lila's hand shook, the scalpel steady but her heart racing. She looked at Nora, her twin's face a mirror of her own, broken by time. Do it, Nora whispered. Live. Lila dropped the scalpel, grabbing the syringe. Voss stepped back, her eyes unreadable. Lila injected herself, the liquid cold in her veins. The scar screamed, the room spinning. Nora gasped, her eyes clearing, but Lila fell, darkness swallowing her. She woke in her car, parked at the waterfront, no sign of the lab. Nora was gone, the journal missing. But the scar was still there, its spiral sharper, joined by another, fainter, across her chest. Lila's breath hitched. Nora was free. She felt it. A lightness in her soul. But Voss's words echoed. You'll carry her scars. The price was paid, but the truth was still out there, and Lila would find it. Lila drove back to Seattle, the new scar on her chest aching, a twin to the one on her abdomen. The absence of Nora was a void, but the lightness in her soul confirmed it. Her sister was alive, somewhere, freed from Voss's lab. Yet the price, the scars, the pain, clung to Lila like a shadow. The journal was gone, taken by Voss or lost in the blackout, but its words burned in her memory. The link binds you both. Lila felt it still, a thread tying her to Nora, fragile but unbroken. Her apartment felt wrong, too quiet, the air heavy. She checked the shoebox, hoping for clues, but found only a new item, a key, small, brass, etched with a spiral. It hadn't been there before. Lila's skin prickled, the scars pulsing. Was it Voss, taunting her? Or Nora, leaving a sign? She pocketed the key, its weight grounding her, and searched online for Voss's name, desperate for a trace. A single hit, a defunct medical conference in Vancouver, 2004, listing Voss as a speaker on cellular memory. A phone number was attached. Still active. Lila dialed, her heart pounding. A woman answered, her voice clipped. "Who is this?" "I'm looking for Helen Voss," Lila said. "It's about Project Twin." Silence, then a click. Disconnected. Lila redealed, but it went to voicemail. A generic message. She left no name, just, "I know what you did to Nora. I'm coming." The scars burned as if approving her defiance. Vancouver was a 6-hour drive. Lila packed a bag, Nora's photo the key, a notebook with every detail she remembered. The scars were her map now, their spirals clearer each day. She stopped at a gas station, checking her reflection in the restroom mirror. The chest scar was sharper, a pattern like a constellation. She traced it, remembering Nora's dream words. Find it. Find what? The truth? Nora herself. In Vancouver, Lila started at the conference center, now a hotel. She asked about Voss, showing the old program to a bored clerk. "No idea," he said, but pointed her to a university archive nearby, where conference records were stored. The archive was a dusty room, its shelves packed with boxes. Lila found the 2004 conference file, a slim folder with Voss's bio, pioneering research in genetic resonance, focusing on twin studies. A handwritten note in the margin read, "Voss, private funding, Helix Group." Lila's pulse quickened. Helix Group at all. A search on her phone revealed nothing official, just whispers on obscure forums. A shadow organization funding fringe science, tied to Cascade Health. One post mentioned a safe house in Vancouver's outskirts, marked by a spiral. Lila's hand went to the key in her pocket. It was a lead, dangerous but unavoidable. The safe house was a cabin in the woods, its windows dark, a spiral carved into the door. Lila's scars burned as she approached, the key warm in her hand. It fit the lock perfectly, the door swinging open to reveal a small room, empty except for a table. On it, a single file. Subject, End Final Report. Lila's hands shook as she opened it. Nora's name, her photo, and a note. Link stabilized. Subject relocated. Anchor. Viable for Phase 3. Lila's vision blurred. Relocated where? And Phase 3, what was it? The scars pulsed. A warning. Footsteps crunched outside. She grabbed the file, slipping out the back as a shadow moved in the front doorway. Voss's voice followed her. "You can't outrun the link, Lila." She drove to a motel, the file on her lap. Nora was alive, relocated, but still part of Voss's game. The scars were proof. Their spirals a code Lila didn't understand. She needed Nora, needed to break the link without losing herself. The key was her only clue, its spiral a promise of answers, or a trap. Lila clutched the key, its spiral etching digging into her palm as she sat in the Vancouver motel. The stolen file opened before her. The scars on her abdomen and chest were alive, their spirals shifting under her skin, as if mapping a path to Nora. The file's note, "Subject relocated, anchor viable," haunted her. Nora was out there, but Voss and the Helix Group were still pulling the strings. Lila felt the link between them, a hum in her blood, stronger now. Was it guiding her to Nora, or drawing her into a trap? The file mentioned a Phase 3, but gave no details, only a reference to a resonance site in Seattle, near the old Cascade Health Clinic. Lila's heart sank. Back to where it started. The key's spiral matched the scars, the file, the safe house door, a symbol tying it all together. She searched online for Helix Group, finding a single lead, a defunct lab in Seattle's industrial district, rumored to be a front for their experiments. It was her next stop, but the scars pulsing warned her. Voss was watching. She drove through the night, the key on the passenger seat, Nora's photo tucked into her bag. The scars burned, their spirals now a faint glow in the dark. Lila's dreams at a rest stop were vivid. Nora, older, running through a white hallway, her voice echoing, "Break it, Lila." The spiral scars were on Nora too, bleeding, her eyes desperate. Lila woke, gasping, her own scars throbbing. The link was breaking them both, just as Voss had said. In Seattle, The lab was a derelict building, its windows boarded, a spiral graffitied on the gate. Lila's key opened a side door, the lock clicking with eerie precision. Inside, the air was cold, the floor littered with broken vials and papers. A basement door stood ajar, light flickering below. Lila descended, her flashlight catching medical charts, monitors, and in a chair with restraints. Her stomach churned. This was where Nora had been, where the scars were born. A voice broke the silence. Voss, behind her. You're stubborn, like her. Lila turned, the scalpel from her bag in her hand. Voss stood in the doorway, her eyes gleaming. The link's killing you both. Phase 3, I will save you. Lila's voice shook. Where's Nora? Voss gestured to a locked door. Close. Give me the key, and I'll show you. Lila's scar screamed, the spirals glowing. She drew the key, but instinct stopped her. No, open it now, Daratos. Voss sighed, unlocking the door. Nora lay inside, awake, her eyes meeting Lila's. You found me, she whispered, her spiral scars mirroring Lila's. But Voss's smile was cold. The key activates phase 3. Hand it over, or she stays. Lila's hand tightened on the key. The scars pulsed. Nora's voice in her mind. Break it. She threw the key at Voss, who caught it, her eyes triumphant. But Lila lunged, tackling her, the key skittering across the floor. Nora screamed, Run! The scars burned, the link roaring. Lila grabbed Nora's hand, pulling her up, and they ran, the lab's walls closing in. Outside, the air was sharp, the scars quieting. Nora was real, her hand warm, but weak. They'll come for us, Nora said, her voice breaking. Lila nodded, the key gone, the link still alive. Voss was out there, the Helix group waiting. But Lila had Nora, and the scars were their map. They'd break the link together or die trying. Lila and Nora fled the Seattle lab, the night air sharp against their skin, the spiral scars on their bodies pulsing in sync. Nora's hand was frail and Lila's, her steps unsteady after years of captivity, but her eyes burned with a fierce will to survive. The key was gone, lost in the scuffle with Voss. But the link between them, the psychic bond forged by the Helix group's experiments, hummed stronger than ever. Lila felt Nora's fear, her pain, as if they were her own, the scars a shared map of their suffering. They reached Lila's car, parked a block away, and sped toward a motel on the city's edge. Nora's breathing was ragged, her spiral scars, abdomen and chest mirroring Lila's, visible through her torn shirt. They'll find us, Nora whispered, her voice hoarse. Voss, the Helix group, they never stop. Lila's hands tightened on the wheel. What did they do to you? Nora's gaze drifted to the window, her reflection pale. After they took me, they kept testing. The scars, they're not just scars. They're markers, etched to hold the link. They wanted to control it, use us to bridge minds. But it went wrong. I fought back, so they locked me away. Lila's throat tightened, the scars burning. Why me? Why now? You were the anchor, Nora said. They suppressed your link, but it woke up. The scars. I triggered them, reaching for you. Lila's mind reeled. The dreams, Nora's voice. Find it, had been real, her sister's call across the void. But Voss's words haunted her. Phase 3 will save you. Was it a lie or a trap? The motel loomed, its neon sign flickering. Lila checked them in, using cash, her eyes scanning for shadows. Inside, she locked the door, Nora collapsing on the bed. We need the journal, Lila said, pacing. It's the only proof. Voss took it, but there's more out there. Paul mentioned Helix Group records. Nora's eyes darkened. Paul? He was one of them. He left before it got bad, but he knew. Lila's stomach dropped. Paul, her ally, part of the Helix Group. She'd trusted him, followed his leads. Was he watching her too? The scars pulsed, a warning. She pulled out Nora's photo, the one from the safe house, its edges worn. We need to end this. Break the link. Nora nodded, her hand on her own scar. The link's in the scars. Voss said it could be severed, but only by destroying the source. The source? Lila asked. Voss? Or us, Nora said, her voice breaking. The link's in our cells. One of us has to. Lila's heart stopped. No, there's another way. She searched online, using the motel's shaky Wi-Fi, for Helix Group. A forum post mentioned a defunct lab in Bellingham, an hour north, tied to their experiments. A spiral symbol was rumored to market. Lila's scars throbbed, urging her forward. We're going, she said. If there's answers, they're there. They drove at dawn, Nora silent, her hands tracing her scars. The Bellingham lab was a crumbling warehouse, its gate rusted, a faint spiral etched into the metal. Lila's scars burned as they approached, the link alive, pulling her towards something, or someone. The door was unlocked, the air inside cold and sterile. Papers littered the floor, charts and formulas, all stamped with the Helix Group logo. Lila found a file labeled Phase 3, Resonance Collapse. It described a final trial to sever twin links, stabilizing one subject at the cost of the other's cellular integrity. Lila's blood ran cold. One lives, one dies. Footsteps echoed behind them. Lila turned, Nora gripping her arm. Paul stood there, his face grim. You shouldn't have come, he said. Voss is close. Lila's hand went to the scars. You lied. You were part of this. Paul's eyes softened. I left when I saw what they did to Nora. I've been trying to stop them. The scars, they're killing you both. Phase 3 is the only way out. Nora's voice was sharp. It'll kill one of us. Paul nodded, his hands shaking. I'm sorry. Lila's vision blurred, the scars screaming. She grabbed Nora, pulling her toward the door, but Paul didn't follow. Run, he said. But you can't outrun the link. Outside, the scars glowed faintly, their spirals a map to survival or sacrifice. Lila drove, Nora's hand in hers, the file on the seat. They'd find another way, or die together. Lila and Nora hid in a Bellingham hotel, the Phase 3 file open on the bed, its words a death sentence. One twin saved, one lost. The scars on their bodies pulsed in unison, the spiral patterns now vivid, glowing faintly in the dim light. Lila felt Nora's fear through the link, a mirror to her own. Their bond a living thing that both sustained and destroyed them. Voss and the Helix Group were closing in. Paul's warning confirmed it. But Lila refused to accept their choice. There had to be another way to break the link without losing Nora again. The file detailed a resonance collapse, a procedure using a chemical trigger to sever the cellular bond. It required a device, a resonator, last used at Cascade Health. Lila's mind flashed to the old clinic site, now a strip mall. Could the resonator still be there, hidden? Nora's eyes, shadowed but fierce, met hers. We can't go back, she said. Voss will be waiting. We have to, Lila said, her voice steady despite the scar's burn. If the resonator's there, we can end this, together. They drove to Tacoma, the night thick with fog. The strip mall was silent, the nail salons neon dark. Lila's scars guided her, their glow brighter as she neared the building. The back door was unlocked, a spiral scratched into the frame. Inside, the air was heavy, the hum of hidden machines echoing. Lila's flashlight caught a trapdoor under a rug, its lock rusted but intact. Nora's hand trembled in hers as they pried it open, descending into a basement untouched by time. The resonator was there, a sleek, silver machine, its surface etched with spirals, connected to vials of a glowing liquid. A notebook beside it, Voss's handwriting, outlined the procedure. Inject trigger, activate resonator, collapse link. One subject stabilizes, one degrades. Lila's heart sank. No alternatives, no loopholes. But the scars pulsed, urging her to act. She felt Nora's resolve through the link, a silent agreement. They'd try, together. Nora's voice was soft. "If it's me, let me go. You've carried enough." Lila shook her head, tears burning. "No, we both walk away." They prepared the machine, following the notebook's instructions. Lila injected the trigger, the liquid cold in her veins, Nora doing the same. The scars screamed, their spirals blazing. The resonator hummed, its light blinding. Lila felt the link stretch, a thread pulled taut, Nora's presence fading. "No!" she screamed, grabbing Nora's hand. The machine sparked, the air rippling like a heat wave. A voice cut through. Voss, at the basement door. "You can't stop it," she said, her eyes gleaming. "The link chooses." Lila's vision blurred, the scars burning. She saw Nora's face, 9 years old, laughing, then older, broken, her eyes pleading. The link roared, memories flooding. Nora's pain, her captivity, her fight to reach Lila. "Break it," Nora's voice echoed, not from the link but from within. Lila slammed her hand on the resonator, reversing the dials, defying the notebook's rules. The machine screeched, a light exploding. Lila woke on the floor, Nora beside her, both alive. The scars were dim, their spirals fading. The resonator was dead, its vials shattered. Voss was gone, the basement silent. Lila's chest ached, but the link was quiet, a ghost of its former self. "We did it," Nora whispered, her hand finding Lila's. But the scars still glowed faintly, a warning. Voss was out there, the Helix group watching. The link was weakened, not broken. They'd won this battle, but the war was far from over. Lila and Nora drove north, away from Tacoma. The scars on their bodies dim but still present, their spirals a faint reminder of the link that bound them. The resonator's destruction had weakened the bond, but Lila felt Nora's presence still, a whisper in her mind, a tug in her chest. Voss had vanished, but the Helix group's reach was long, their experiments unfinished. The Phase the 3 file, now in Lila's bag, was their only leverage, proof of the horrors done to them and others. They stopped at a diner, its fluorescent lights harsh against their exhaustion. Nora's face was pale, her eyes haunted but clear. "They'll come for us," she said, sipping coffee. "The Helix group doesn't let go." Lila nodded, the scars tingling. "We need to expose them. The file, it's enough to start. But we need more. Other subjects, records, anything." Nora's hand shook. "There were others. I saw them in the lab. Kids, mostly twins. Some didn't make it." Lila's stomach twisted, the scars burning. She remembered the journal's mention of adverse outcomes. How many had suffered? How many were still out there, linked like her and Nora? She pulled out the file, scanning for names. A list of subjects, initials only, caught her eye. M and K, terminated. R and S, relocated. No addresses, but a note mentioned a safe house network across the Pacific Northwest. "We find the safe houses," Lila said. "We find the others." Nora's eyes met hers, a spark of their old twin bond. Together. They started in Seattle, tracking rumors of Helix group activity. A forum post led them to a community center, its basement used for alternative therapy groups. Lila's scars pulsed as they entered, the air thick with incense. A woman, older, with a spiral pendant, led a meditation session. Lila recognized her from a photo in the safe house, a Helix group operative. They slipped out before being noticed, but the woman's eyes lingered, as if she sensed the scars. The next lead was a safe house in Everett, a nondescript house marked by a spiral on the mailbox. Lila and Nora broke in at night, finding medical records, photos, and a laptop. The records listed more twins, their scars documented, their links activated. Lila's heart raced as she copied the files, Nora keeping watch. A car pulled up outside, headlights cutting through the dark. "Voss," Nora hissed. They fled through the back, the laptop in Lila's bag. In a motel, they hacked the laptop, finding emails between Voss, and an unknown contact. Phase 3 incomplete. Subjects L and N compromised. Initiate containment. Lila's scars burned, the link stirring. Containment meant capture, or worse. But the emails mentioned a final safe house in Olympia, where the source was stored. The source, Nora said, her voice low. It's not Voss. It's the original trigger, the drug that started the link. Lila's hand went to her scars. If we destroy it, we end this. They drove to Olympia, the scars guiding them like a compass. The safe house was a clinic, its sign blank, a spiral on the door. Inside, they found vials of glowing liquid, labeled Resonance Trigger. Lila's scars glowed, the link roaring. She grabbed a vial, ready to smash it when Voss's voice echoed. You'll kill her. Lila turned, Nora beside her, both facing Voss. The scars burned, the link a storm. Lila raised the vial, her choice clear. We end it now, daughter. Lila stood in the Olympia clinic, the vial of resonance trigger glowing in her hand, its light reflected in Nora's eyes. The scars on their bodies pulsed, their spirals a map of pain and survival. Voss faced them, her silver hair stark under the fluorescent lights, her expression a mix of defiance and fear. Smash it, and the link collapses, Voss said, her voice steady but sharp. You loser, Lila. The scars are all you have left. Nora's hand found Lila's, their link a hum of shared resolve. Do it, Nora whispered. We're more than their experiment. Lila's heart pounded, the scars screaming. She saw their childhood, Nora's laugh, their shared secrets. Then the years of absence, the pain of the link. The vial was the source, the key to their freedom, but also their destruction. She raised it, her hand trembling, and smashed it on the floor. The liquid hissed, the air rippling like a shock wave. The scars blazed, then dimmed, the link fracturing. Voss lunged, but Nora tackled her, pinning her against the wall. Lila grabbed the remaining vials, smashing them one by one, the clinic filling with a strange hum, like a dying machine. The link weakened, Nora's presence fading in Lila's mind, but her hand was still warm, real. Keep going, Nora gasped as Voss struggled. Lila found a computer, its screen showing live feeds of other subjects, twins, their scars glowing, their eyes vacant. She uploaded the Phase 3 file, the emails, everything, to a whistleblower site, her fingers shaking. The world needs to know, she said as the upload completed. The Helix Group's secrets were exposed, their network unraveling. Voss broke free, her eyes wild. You've doomed them all, she hissed, grabbing a syringe from a table. Lila dove, knocking it away. The scars quiet now, their power gone. Nora pinned Voss again, her strength fading but fierce. It's over, Nora said. The clinic's alarms blared, footsteps echoing outside. Police, or Helix operatives, Lila couldn't tell. She pulled Nora to the back door, the scars dim, the link a whisper. They ran into the night, the air cold, their breaths misting. The scars were just scars now, their spirals faint, their power broken. Lila felt the void where the link had been, but Nora was beside her, alive, free. They hid in a safe house Nora knew, a cabin in the woods, its walls bare but safe. The news broke days later. Helix Group exposed, Voss arrested, labs raided. Other twins were found, some alive, some gone. Lila and Nora stayed hidden, healing, their scars fading but never gone. We're enough, Nora said one night, her hand in Lila's. Lila nodded, the void filled by her sister's presence. The scars were their story, their survival. The Helix Group was broken, but the truth lingered, a shadow they'd carry forever. Together, they'd face it, no link needed.